Next, I'm going to do is this. I'm going to, right now you should have a blank screen because I'm going here. Because people need this. So as a backup, this link that I am just posting up in the chat right now is the YouTube channel, Michigan Wing SUAS MP and Technicians. Okay, so if you get a chance, I will also, I'll send an email to everybody that has messaged me, because I know that some people are not able to stick around, and so they'll be able to watch the videos. And so right now the video that's up there for P2014 is going to be taken down, and I will be replacing it with this video as soon as I get a chance to edit it.
Sir, when you post the videos, the link, because I'm going to miss next week, will the link be in, how is the link clickable through the video, or how does that work?
Yes, you'll notice that when I said I posted the link in the chat, I also posted it at the bottom of the questionnaire, and that's how every video is now going to end. Okay. So the link to the quiz is now going to be part of the videos, and that's why some of these videos need to be replaced, and that's why we're doing this.
Okay.
Now, since I didn't have last week, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add a card to P5103 and show that it's there. All right. Now, this session here is not going to be a long one. It's about a half-hour session. And so this is going to be an easy night. As I said, I know that last week I gave you guys information overload. So this week we're going to take it a little easier, and we'll be able to get you out of here a little sooner for those that want to take off. And we'll give those who want to have that meeting after the meeting chit chat, give you more time to chat. Correct. There is no class next Thursday because next Thursday is the Wing Conference. And so is the Michigan Wing Conference, and I will not be available. Colonel Bomer cannot be available. And, well, Lieutenant Kursky can't be available. So nobody is going to be able to be there. And then the Thursday after, there is no class because the Thursday after is so hold it. Next week? No, next week there's a class Thursday. There is a class April 1st, is there not? Or March 31st. Yeah, if there's a class next week, it's the 7th that there's no class.
Right.
Right.
No,
yeah, I got ahead of my game. Yeah, the 31st there's a class. There's no class the 7th, and there's no class the 14th because the 14th is Holy Thursday, and some people will be having religious obligations that day. So I did not want that to interfere. So in 2 weeks, there's no class. Exactly. Next week, there's a class. In 2 weeks, there's no class. In 3 weeks, there's no class on Thursday. You're quite welcome. All right. Let's take a look at the video panel. All right. So if everybody wants to start heading back in here. And I'm choosing this page here because I'm seeing a lot of faces. Again, I ask that your cameras be on so that I actually know I've got an audience here. And we'll go from there. And also with cameras on, I now know that you're actually here and present. I'm not going to be talking to air because you're still on break. All righty. So all right, so we are going to start, and we're doing P5104, and this task is found on page 120 of the task guide. Again, I cannot stress enough that you should be downloading that task guide as soon as you possibly can. And if you were not here last week, stick around afterwards. I will give you some links to show you how to get there and how to get to that information. Okay. So P5104. What does it mean to be a security concern? Simply put, CAP resources should be considered national security assets. In times of emergency, you should take special security precautions to protect your aircraft and its crew, right? Yes, we're not flying a big, Cessna 182, but it's still a craft. We're still protecting our aircraft, our Skydios, our Phantoms. We still have a crew. We have technicians with us. So let's take a look at some of the security concerns as they pertain to the SUAS. Unless it's in your hands or in direct eyesight, keep your UAS and ground control station, or GCS, you'll hear me say that a lot, in a locked and secure area. Use seals on equipment cases to detect tampering. If you don't have a lock with a key, bring a bunch of zip ties with you. Take your knife, cut your zip tie when you're ready. Pay particular attention during UAS pre-flight inspections. Look for signs of tampering and carefully inspect the aircraft, the control station, and the batteries for damage. You'd be surprised at how much damage a swelled battery can create. It's one of the reasons why we make you take the FEMA Course 5A. Don't be paranoid, but be alert. Okay, so let's take a look at some of those personnel security concerns. When we're not at an ICS or incident command, and we're still in public, be as low-key as possible and be discreet, right? Yeah, it's pretty hard to not be conspicuous when you're walking around in an ABU or Blueberry, but you don't have to be discussing CAP business when you're on break away from ICS or any mission particulars. When you're in public, remember back in World War II, all those big signs, loose lips sink ships. Stool pigeons, what I can't remember. There was like some really, really good ones. That's the bottom line here. We don't want to be,
Also, you need to remember that you need to have on your vest during that time frame. All people wearing vests during the mission.
that's right. But we're talking about it when you're out in a public spot, right? When you're out in public, you may be on break from your mission, so you've taken off your safety vest, but you're still in your ABUs. You're at the local McDonald's. Don't start talking about the mission. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. If you see something or someone that is suspicious, don't ignore it. Report your suspicions to your supervisor or maybe law enforcement. Maybe it's something that doesn't need to be reported to the incident command, but it does need to be reported to the police. Okay. You're going to see the word situational awareness come up a lot in the next 2 months. It's a key thing for all of us. And like Captain King said, wear your safety vests and identifying placards when flying a UAS in public spaces. You're always wearing your safety vest. You're always carrying your credentials. I have a little credential that I actually put it around my neck that's got my membership card, my 101 card. I have another one that I put my 101 card and my membership card in. Remember the old insurance? I don't know, some people don't have them anymore because we all have them digitally. But remember, you used to get it for your insurance, and your vehicle, your insurance would give you one of those little plastic things. And in the top part, you put your automobile registration. The bottom part, you put your insurance papers, and then you would either put that in your glove compartment or carry it in your pocket. I was paranoid. I always carried it in my pocket because I lived in an area where my car could get rifled anytime. So that was, I have one of those for my membership card. But when you're out flying, you're always with your membership card. You're always with your 101 card. You're always wearing your safety vest. Be prepared to identify yourself to local authorities and present those credentials. Okay, I've just talked about some things. What must you have on you at all times when flying? Let's hear it. Hear it back. Let me hear
ID
you.
card. ID card.
Trust
ID
certificate.
Trust
certificate. Excellent.
107.
Your 107 if applicable.
101.
Your 101 card.
Do we need a CAP ID card?
I'm sorry?
CAP ID card.
Your CAP ID card. Yep. Somebody had said that one. Yep.
Driver's license.
Driver's license. Well, what if you're 14 years old and you don't have a driver's license? You're flying a recreational.
You shouldn't be flying.
Yes, you should. If you've got your trust and you're doing a demonstration, you can fly at 14.
You have your 160 on, 160 and 161. Or medical situation.
Your medical, yeah. Your 160, yeah, exactly. Your 160, your 161 for medical. And there's one other. I never mentioned it, but let's see if anybody can figure it out. What does the FAA say about flying a drone? What do you have to do with your drone?
It should
Any
be
drone over
registered.
0.55
Mark,
It should be
pounds
registered.
has to be registered. So you have to have that registration with you in case somebody needs to see it.
Yeah.
That's easy if you've got a CAP drone because your registration is in the box with the drone. When I'm flying my personal drones, I don't know if you can see this. There we go, kind of. That's got there's my 107 card. You can't see it very well, but it's got my 107 card and all my SUAS registrations are all in there. My trust card, there we go. My trust card, my 107, that's all in there. So the FAA may issue temporary flight restrictions at any time.
And it's
Okay, we've moved on from that to personnel and identification. Any questions on that? Okay, so as I said, we're going to talk now about temporary flight restrictions. Okay, so it's vitally important to ask for a NOTAM before each flight and to monitor air traffic control for changes while in flight. Okay, so NOTAM, notice to airmen. A notice to airmen will be given for any temporary flight restriction that says you can't fly a drone in this, even though you're in class Gulf area, you can't fly a drone. An example, the president is coming to town. Okay, you can bet that anything within a 50-mile radius is now a no-fly zone. The only bird that comes in and out of there is Air Force One. Right? You might have a temporary flight restriction because of a natural disaster. We were talking earlier about the dam that broke out in Midland. Okay. So in order for emergency services to assess the damage with their drones, a NOTAM would have been issued for all recreational flyers and all other, and 107 flyers, because they don't want 1,000 drones in the air taking pictures and getting in their way. So they're going to issue a NOTAM. And so again, I've got them right here. You can see this is where we get our NOTAMs, and I'm going to put that in the chat. Oops, copy, chat. There we go. Okay, so now I'm not going to leave you just in a lurch like that. I'm not. And all right, well, there's NOTAMs. That's it. No. What do you do when you get to that? Well, there's what it looks like. All right. Let's take a look at that circled area. Let's zoom into that. All right, so notices to airmen, NOTAMs, and temporary flight restrictions. For our NOTAM, we click on NOTAMs, right? The graphic temporary flight restrictions is going to, all your temporary flight restrictions are going to be in your NOTAMs, but your graphic temporary flight restrictions just shows you a map of where they are right now. Right, and then there's the pilot's guide to understanding restrictions in today's national airspace. Again, an excellent document to download, but all can be found at that website. Actually, I'm gonna get to that in a second, sir. Captain Bruce has asked a question: is a 107 pilot allowed to call flight services? In about 3 screens, we're going to show what we do and how we get around stuff. Okay. Now, if there's a NOTAM, obviously we're not going to be able to fly, or we need to read the NOTAM because we can still fly. It may be just a weather warning. Who knows? But we need to, before we go up, we always check our NOTAMs. So when we click on NOTAMs, it brings us to this screen, which is a search screen. We then enter the location where we want to fly and click the search button. That will bring up the list of NOTAMs in that area. In this case, I believe I looked up Flint. Yeah, I looked it up on May 19th, 2021. It was the day I took my screen print. So let's look at this first one right here. Okay. Let's take a closer look at that. Why is that coming up like that? Let's try. There we go. So now it brings up the NOTAM, in all that wonderful little gobbledygook. I know it's quite small, so let's blow it up a bit. There we go. We'll be looking on how to read this in another session. Today, we're just looking at how to access it. But if you're confused, here's a trick. You can always click on the plain language link to get that in plain language. Okay, as I said, I don't want to spend too much time on it since reading a NOTAM is a lesson for another day. Are there any questions regarding on how to access a NOTAM? Okay. You can, but I've got a question from ForeFlight. Actually, we use a loft, and we're going to be getting to that in a second. Now, just so that you can see this a little bit, basically, this, as I said, if you need to know what this is, you can click on plain language, but we're going to be we're going to be breaking this down for all the pilots another day. The reason we bring it up for both pilots and technicians is your pilot may ask you as a technician to get the NOTAM for him or her, right? So you need to know how to get there so that you can get that information for your pilot. Okay, so if there's no questions on accessing NOTAMs, let's move on to the LANC or LANC. Some people pronounce it with an S. Some people pronounce it as if it's a K. I pronounce it as a LANC, and that's L-A-A-N-C. Okay. LANC is the low altitude authorization and notification capability, a collaboration between the FAA and the industry. It directly supports UAS integration into the airspace. It also provides access to controlled airspace near airports through real-time processing of airspace authorizations below approved altitudes in controlled airspace. LANC automates the application and approval process for airspace authorizations through automated applications developed by an FAA-approved UAS service supplier, and we're going to talk about a loft, which is the most common. Pilots apply for an airspace authorization. Requests are checked against multiple airspace data sources in the FAA UAS data exchange, such as TFRs, i.e., what's TFR stand for?
Temporary flights.
Exactly, temporary flight restrictions. And NOTAMs. What does the NOTAM stand for?
Notice to airborne.
Notice to airmen. Exactly. Okay. If approved, a pilot receives their authorization in near real time. And I can tell you when they say near real time, it's like 3 seconds. It used to, a year ago, it was 15 seconds. And we used to think that was great. Now it's almost immediate. Prior to having a loft or before you fly, it used to take a week before we could get information. You used to have to literally know that you were going to fly a week in advance, and you would have to submit an application to the FAA for your LANC. It was crazy. Now, if you happen to be in anything other than class golf airspace, you can get a LANC and figure out exactly where and when you can fly right away. Okay. So who can use the LANC? Any drone pilot. You don't have to be 107. It's not, oh, I don't have my 107. I don't need to worry about that. Wrong. All pilots must get a LANC if they are not in class golf airspace. Airspace. Let's try that again. Okay. So, Kittyhawk was what we used to use. Kittyhawk, as the video talks about, Okay, so keep this in mind. It's what you request a lance with. However, Kittyhawk has been renamed to Aloft, A-L-O-F-T. So whenever you hear Kittyhawk, think Aloft. Okay. So, any questions? Whoops, let me go back. Any questions on that so far? Okay, I told you on Monday that I will be employing the use of special guest speakers. Here's our first. We have a member of the Pilot Institute to give us an introduction to accessing a lance. Again, this is an introduction, and we will be discussing this more in detail in a future task, because one of the tasks is actually getting a lance. One thing I will mention right away, as I said, the speaker references Kittyhawk. That is also what is currently the name by which it's referenced in the task guide, but it has been rebranded and is now called Aloft. I can't stress that enough. So whenever you see Kittyhawk, think Aloft. Okay, you'll want this on your smart device, your tablet, your phone. I've got it on like 4 different things, just because it's easy to get to. It's one of several apps I'll be referencing during the course. You can download it from the Play Store or Apple App Store, and you won't regret it. As a matter of fact, Aloft is preloaded on the SUAS for the XD control station. But if you have to use your own iPad, you're going to need it anyways. So without further ado, let's hear from our guest speaker.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Kittyhawk and how we can submit an application in Kittyhawk, which is actually pretty straightforward. So first you have to download the app. This is what it looks like right here. Once it's downloaded, I'm not going to have you go through these steps, but then you can click on it right here, and it's going to ask you to log in. And once we're logged in, it's going to kind of figure out where you are located. So you can see that north of myself right here, north of my location, I have an airport, and that airport has green color, red color, orange color, yellow colors, and that's your grid. That's your grid from the UAS facility map provided by the FAA. Now Kittyhawk put it in here with different colors. And if you see something that has all red on it, I'm going to try to find one for you. I think there is one. Well, it's not red on Kittyhawk, it's actually gray. This area right here just means it's not part of LANC, so you cannot request any flights. Chandler right here and this other one right here, you can't. Now you can see this is the Phoenix Airport. We talked about this one in the course. Remember that little infinity-shaped Class Bravo airspace? Well, this is it right here, and you can actually request to fly in that airspace, and there's another one right here. So I'm going to go back to Prescott because that's where we want to fly. And right here, I can just add at the bottom. We're going to click add, and then we're going to click request LANC authorization. Okay. And once we do this, then it's going to kind of figure out where we are, and then I can move out and find a spot where I want to fly. Now, I'm going to fly around Watson Lake because I love flying around Watson Lake. I'm going to tap on the screen. You have to tap on the screen to get inside of one of these boxes. And here you can see I have the green box, I have the yellow box, and the red box. The first one we're going to do is I want to fly in that green area. I want to see green should be pretty good. I can tap on those numbers here and then bring this up. And look at that, it says UAS facility map, permissible altitude for authorization, 400 feet. I can fly in that area up to 400 feet once I get authorization. Yes, you still need to get the authorization. A lot of people ask me, I can just go in there because it's authorized, I'm authorized already. No, you're not. You still have to submit the application. You can also see the weather, by the way. Today's a beautiful day, 78 degrees right here. Almost no wind, almost no gust, perfect visibility. This is where you can see your visibility, by the way. 3 statute mile is the lowest we can go. No clouds. Perfect for a flying day. If I go and tap on the window next to it, that yellow box, you can see the yellow box, it's starting to go down. We have 250. If I go to the red box next to it, guess what it's going to be? This is Glassford Hill right here, it's 0 feet. I can tap another 0 box right here, 0 feet. Can you fly in here? You could, but not with this authorization right here. You're going to have to get a special approval in order to do that. Once we go, I'm going to go back right here because I want to fly in that 400-foot area. So once I'm ready to fly in this grid, in this specific grid right here, then I'm going to tap on Get Authorization. Get Authorization. And it's asking you right here, do you want to do this as a hobbyist or do you want to do this as a commercial pilot? Well, I'm going to do this under Part 107. Recreational, I could still do it. Same process, really. So Part 107 right here.
Oops.
And then now it's asking me specifically in this area, where do I want to fly? So I can tap. Now this is a bit tricky at first. You have to push on these corners. You have to push and hold. And once you do this, then you can start to move, push and hold, start to move around, and you're going to draw your area. Push and hold, and move around, okay? And I'm going to show you something. Let's say you wanted to fly also in the next area right here. Now, first off, on the bottom left corner here, it's going to ask you what altitude. I can slide my finger. I'm holding my finger and sliding right now. And I can go all the way to 400 feet. You are eligible to fly up here with approval up to 400 feet. Now, if I start to drag this corner into the next one, now see what happens? We knew it was 250 there. Now, I can't fly up to 400 feet. I'm going to have to go right here to 250. If I try to fly here, it says eligible for further coordination up to 400 feet. This is going to take some approval and some time because somebody has to review this manually. Now, if I wanted to go and fly, even extend this some more and go into the red area, well, now we're in trouble. Well, first off, the flight area is too large. They don't want you to make it too large, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here. Okay, I know it's too large. And then bring this and bring this one right here. Okay, if I did this, now you notice, how high do you want to fly? Eligible for further coordination up to 400 feet. So I could ask to fly in that area up to 400 feet. But right now it's not going to be automatic. So I can't really do that automatically. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to actually make this a real scenario. Let's say I just want it to be right between these two zones right here. And I'm going to try to fly 250. I'm going to click next. Now it's asking you here, when do you want to do this? I could do this today, and then you can change your duration. So you can tap right here and then change how long you want to fly. I'm going to keep it default for now. Now take a look at the notes. LANC authorization are currently not available for operation more than 90 days in advance. Operation beyond civil twilight, you cannot request to fly at night in here. And simultaneous flight in the same area or multiple drone swarm. Okay, we're not doing this. More than one registered aircraft. Well, I only have one. Well, I have several, but I'm only going to be flying one. Click next. Now it says auto eligible for this area, blah, blah, blah. And I can click next, and then it's going to ask me to review this area. And then here it's got a bunch of questions. Operator is certified under Part 107. You have to do that if you're submitting under Part 107. Operator is responsible for operating in compliance with all temporary flight restrictions. I'm going to have to check those. Operator is responsible for operating with all the NOTAMs. Operator is responsible for operating in compliance with the small airspace. And then altitude or absolute value above ground level, which shall not be added to the height of any structures. Now remember, we talked about this in class, and we said that the 400 foot above the highest obstacle, that is only available in uncontrolled airspace. Here we are in controlled airspace. We cannot do this, and we cannot fly 400 feet above a structure. This is only above the ground, natural stuff. This authorization does not constitute a waiver for state or local law. Now there's none in my state, but not in this area at least. Each authorization corresponds to a single operator controlling at most one aircraft at a time. That is true. And contacting ATC by phone for LANC status information may result in the FAA in a request being rejected by the FAA, okay? All right. Agree and submit, and then this would go and I would get a text message. I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to fly this flight and I don't want to overload the system, but agree and submit, and then you'll be good to go. In about 30 seconds, you should be getting an approval, and then you should be ready to go fly your drone. This is all you have to do. It takes a lot longer. It's a lot shorter than what I just showed you because I'm talking through it, so it should only take you a few minutes to do this. All right, I hope you enjoy this.
Like that. Oh, there we go. I have to do it this way. Okay. So any questions on what he just showed us?
You just said that so this is like a phone app or something?
Yes, this is an app that is downloaded to phones or tablets.
And it's not Kittyhawk anymore. It's
it's now called Aloft. A-L-O-F-T.
Aloft. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
If you already had Kittyhawk download on your system, it would automatically update it to Aloft.
That is correct. That's how I found out about the change, actually. I woke up and went, oh, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to fly. Hold on, where's my Kittyhawk? Because it automatically switched because my phone was in alphabetical order. And of course, now instead of being with the K's, it was with the A's.
Oh, what about the area that doesn't have the grids? I saw that he had.
That's class golf airspace. You don't need a LANC.
Okay. Oh,
If
you want to only fly if it's got a grid. Okay.
Excellent question. You only require a LANC if you are flying in anything other than class golf airspace. So anywhere where you're within, basically anything within that 5-mile radius of an airport is going to create a situation where you are going to require a LANC. You take a look, for example, at the Detroit area, and I think Captain King and Lieutenant Stevenson will tell you it's very difficult to find an area that you can fly in that area because there's so many little area drones and airports that three quarters of it needs a LANC.
Yeah,
So it's possible that a person who just bought a drone and is out flying could be violating all this, right? I mean, they didn't know. They just bought a drone and just like, here, fly it.
That's
well,
right.
If you're in a 5-mile area of the airport, you cannot fly, period. So unless you get that LANC in there to get question to go in that area. But beyond that, yes, you can fly without getting authorization.
So you recall in the program, there were areas of red. And that red is probably that would be within the 5-mile radius of the airport.
That's correct.
And then the green and the orange spread out from there. So if you looked at some of those, the red was always probably within a 5-mile radius. The orange was probably within about an 8-mile radius, and then the greens are within about a 10-mile radius. And again, depending on whether you are in class B, C, D, or E airspace is going to determine the radius around the airport. That's going to determine how much you're going to need before you need the LANC, or how close you can get before you need the LANC. So, for example, LAX, Detroit, those are going to be all Class B airspace. Flint, I can't remember the name of the airport there, but in Flint, my guess is that I think that's, if I am correct, that is Class C airspace. I know up here, Chippewa County is Class C airspace as well. And Class C airspace, you take a look at the LANC area, and it is approximately, I don't know, maybe 10 miles outside of Sault Ste. Marie, and we don't need a LANC to fly. And the local airport is Class E, and again, unless you're pretty much like right there, you don't need a lance to fly. Any other questions on that? All right. So I placed the quiz link in the chat. And don't forget to make sure you complete the quiz before signing out or taking the link down. Okay, on paper, whether it's on paper or you're copy and pasting it, whatever. And that's going to conclude our session tonight. Thank you everyone for coming, and I will remain online for any informal conversation you might want to have regarding the program, the regs, SUAS in general. So on that note, thank you everyone again, and have a great evening.